Hello and welcome, Kennedy here. Tonight we are talking about two different models of Merida road bikes, Reacto and Scultura. There are quite few people asking about what's the difference between those two. I mean, they know that Reacto is more aerodynamic and Scultura is more like racy bike, but they would still like to have some more knowledge, some more insight about those two lines of road bikes. Because they don't know which one should they choose. So tonight we are looking at the international Merida bikes website, and we'll try to compare the Reacto line to the Scultura line. To make a long story short, the Reacto bikes will be more aerodynamic and also more weight, and these Scultura bikes will be less aerodynamic and less weight. So Scultura will be more racy, more versatile bike, and Reacto will be actually less racy and less versatile. Doesn't mean that Reacto is just the marketing stuff, since Merida has their time trialing aerodynamic bikes like this Warp. We have 4 models here. It doesn't mean that the Reacto is just the pure marketing stuff. Not all the brands out there have this kind of line of the bikes, like in the middle of aerodynamics and the race bike, but let's look at those two. Who would rather like to have the Reacto over, or choose the Reacto over the Scultura? Let's just talk about it now. For both Reacto and Scultura lines, we have the 300, 400 and then 500 bikes, which are aluminum bikes, aluminum frames, and then 5000, 6000 and so on for carbon. Same for Scultura, we see here 200, 300, 400 for alloy, and 500 here, and then 4000, 5000 and so on for carbon. So that's the difference. Both lines have their alloy and carbon frames. What I would like to get more information about when deciding between Reacto and Scultura would be my position on the bike and also how the bike handles. So if you know already that Reacto is more aerodynamic, let's just look at those two different bikes. Let's take the Scultura 300 too. Alright, this is the Reacto 300. You can see how aerodynamics all these tubes are. That also means more weight. This is the Scultura. These are just more oval over Aero. And if we look at the weight of the bike, Reacto 300 on Shimano Triagra weighs 9.8 kilos. And Scultura on Shimano Triagra weighs 9 kilos. I wouldn't be, thinking about 200, 300 grams difference, because especially for the beginners, it doesn't make any difference actually. But almost a 1 kilo in a difference of weight is quite a lot. If you are riding on the hilly terrain and you're often just riding the uphills, especially those steep uphills, you would go rather for the Scultura. If you are beginning bikers, but you already got into the level that your average speed would go way above 30 kilometers per hour, the Aero bike would help you to have more fun and to ride faster, to actually save some watts from your legs. What about the positioning? Let's look at the geometries. The geometries will be quite different for those two. Alright, here we have the Scultura 300 and here we have the Reacto 300. There are actually 2 dimensions. Just look at the bike sizing playlist that we'll be really looking at, that will give us the overview of the geometry and bike handling. These are the R, E and S, which is reach and stock. For Reacto, let's just take as an example the 56 centimeter size, my size. we have reach and stack. All right, reach 400 millimeters and stack 570. So we have 400 millimeters here and 570 here. Now for Scultura 56, we have 394 versus 590. So the Scultura will be just 6 millimeters shorter. The reach will be lower, but the stack will be quite a huge difference there. We have once more 592 here and 570, as I remember, 570 for the Reacto. Reacto will be lower. Your position on the bike will be lower. So if you are a beginning cyclist and you're not quite sure whether you will really get into cycling and stick to it, I would rather think about Scultura line, because you will have more upright position. And for this year 2016, Merida has also changed the geometry of the Scultura, because it was even more upright. Now it's more racy position. So think about that in terms of geometry. One important thing in terms of the geometry is also the difference between the aluminum and the full carbon line. Just look at those two, because carbon Reacto in carbon with carbon frame will have different geometry than Reacto for alloy. So as I remember, the Reacto will be even more Aero in the full carbon version. Let's just look at the Reacto 6000 geometries, and we have 56 stack and reach. This one is 398, 578. Now it's actually 8 millimeters higher, the carbon frame, and 2 millimeters shorter. So it's not really more racy or more aerodynamic position, and that's really good to compare, and compare those also for the Scultura alloy and carbon frames. I'm not going to be doing that just now. As for the components, if you're a beginner cyclist, my opinion, Shimano Tiagra, awesome stuff, really awesome stuff. You won't be paying that much, and just be aware that if you are buying the bike, this one, Reacto 300 on Shimano Tiagra, will weigh 9.8 kilo. If you pay much more for Reacto, let's say 500 on Shimano Ultegra, the weight of the bike will be 9.5, I think. I can see that now. Show me. Okay, let's just click this one. Should be just 300 grams. Yeah, the difference is just 300 grams, and it's not a lot. It's not a lot. It's nothing actually for even more improved cyclist. So if you are beginning, Shimano Tiagra will be just awesome for you. And it's same for the Scultura, starting with Shimano Tiagra, and we already have 9.1 kilo here. No, this one is Sora. This one is, yeah, because this is 200 for Sora. Sora is also fine, but Tiagra would be, in my opinion, would be maybe ideal for beginning cyclists who's not so much on the budget. If you don't have to, you know, save each dollar or each euro, then Shimano Tiagra would be my choice. And maybe one last thing in terms of the differences between those bikes is also the forks, because the fork does matter in two different ways. One is the handling, how the bike handles, how do you feel when you ride on the bike, and second, how strong is the bike, especially if you are a bit maybe overweight, you are a heavy rider. What I can see from what I see here on their website, if we go here for the specifications, we can see that the cheapest, the lowest model of Reacto has Reacto Carbon Race fork. They do have also a Reacto Carbon Light and a Reacto Carbon something else. We'll just see that in a minute. Let's go for Scultura 200. That will be some different fork, the light one. Comp, yeah, Comp. and they don't say actually what's the difference between those two forks. If we go for the features, they will tell you that they do have a carbon fork, and some of the models are 100% made of carbon composite. Oh, I don't like this stuff. I would like to know everything about my bike, which I'm going to buy, but I think that the road carbon comp is the carbon blade and the alloy steerer. That's the fork in my opinion, and then the carbon race would be full carbon blades and carbon steering tube. I think so. And if you are a heavy rider, you may want to think about the fork with the aluminum steerer. You don't have to, but the alloy steerer usually will be stronger. So if you are like very overweight and you are trying to lose your pounds or kilos by getting into cycling, maybe think about the alloy fork. So Reacto don't have that one. It's only the Merida Scultura, the lowest model that has that one. And then also some higher models will have also a different fork. The Reacto carbon frames will have a specially designed fork for that, and the Scultura highest model don't have the comp or race fork, but they will have the Scultura mid Superlight fork. I think both race and Superlight are full carbon, but Superlight is just Superlight. So that's what I think, that's what I wanted to share with you about those two lines. Of course, if the weight doesn't matter so much for you and the aerodynamics doesn't matter so much for you, also go for the look. If you love how the Merida Reacto looks like, for example, the green stuff is just lovely, like this one. If this bike really drives you crazy, like you would want to be riding this bike, just go for it. Two things I forgot. The rear triangle will be more comfortable for the Scultura bike, not for the Reacto. The Reacto will be more comfortable in the carbon version, but not in the alloy version. So the Reacto in alloy version can be a little bit more rough on some bad roads than the alloy Scultura, and also the brakes are just down here behind the bottom bracket in the Reacto model. Some people don't like it because they get wet easily, they get they take all the dirt there, but it's just like it is. It's more aero, it's also cool, it's your choice. I do like this one, it looks really cool. I myself would go for Scultura because I'm riding Cat 10. This is a super light bike and really versatile, but this one is really awesome, and I already do know some guys who bought it and they are happy with it. Thanks for watching this video and stay tuned for more. Bye bye, see ya.